Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Liulei Nishmas Mordechai. Welcome to the guests. We have Rabbi Israel from Woodmere. What's your last name again? Gans. Mendel Zaks. My Chavrus's brother. My two Chavrus's. I was Chavrus with Hill Zaks. And the Yaakov Mordechai. Designer Woodcraft says, Dear Belly, so the MDY recruitment van worked well last Masechta, but wanted to step it up for Chagiga. Check out the picture of t-shirts my crew will be wearing this week. And in parentheses, joiner is carpenter in English. To hopefully attract more people to join the MDY family. P.S. picture on the right, the popular MDY Stender in Oak. Good Shabbos. Shimi Leafman, designer Woodcraft. What does it say here? So my dad's a joiner. I know, I see. Here's the Stender, his version of it, right over here. It's gorgeous. I used to do woodwork myself, so I know I used to have a joiner. Yeah, maybe it's called a joiner. No, I had one of those machines. I still have it somewhere in Chicago. Rabbi Isai, yesterday I was at the Kessler, and I was about to start Shmuel Esrei, and a guy comes over to me and he says, I know you're in the middle of davening, I got to tell you this story. He tells me this whole chizuk. He steps away, the next guy steps in. I know you're in the middle of davening, but what time is Shir Motzei Shabbos? I'm like, no. So I'll tell you right here, the guy that came over to the Kessler, Shir Motzei Shabbos is not going to be live. It's going to be live, but in Yerushalayim, you're a Marishkol. Where? At the Golden Residence. It's right Tehran. How do you pronounce it? Givara Miftar. So we're doing this new thing. We're trying it out. Doing live shiur Motzei Shabbos, different places. The first one is Ramat Eshkol. Come one, come all. I believe shiur starts at 8:30. So if you look us up on Zoom, Rabbi say, here's a very nice idea. I like this a lot. If I can find it. Oh, this is from our rep in Toronto, Mayor Planko. I thought this was a beautiful idea, so we could start it right now. It's a great idea. Thank you for your dedication, inspiring and teaching Torah to the world. On a regular basis, especially by Siyum, people regularly comment how they wish they can meet or somehow interact with you. People feel very connected to you. The Magid Shir is changing their lives, inspiring them to learn. Maybe I should have skipped all that. However, if they don't go on Zoom due to the late hour, or don't have the opportunity to come to Israel, they have no way to actually engage with you. I'd like to propose an idea so that MDY members from all over the world can have the opportunity to Hashem meet you directly and interact with you. Idea. Every week, a different city has a 15 to 30 minute Zoom with you, and MDY members can introduce themselves. I think it's a great idea. Why don't we think about it? Such a simple idea. Let's do it. Toronto will be first. Will be more personal since it's individual cities and easier to arrange. Over many months, everyone who's interested will have the opportunity to connect with you. This will inspire people and make them feel even more connected in MDY. Vasnach. Oh, Avrameir Farkowitz is in the house, all the way. The rep from Far Rockaway, from the 5 towns. Pshee. You could sit down, Avrameir. What are you doing?
Yes.
What you like? You're not going to fall. Nobody ever fell asleep in the shiur besides Dr. Epstein. He's the only person, and he's a Beseder. We give him a heter, right, Doc? You think you're hiding behind that mask and I don't see you sleeping. For that, you need a mask on your eyes, my friend. If this is something you're interested in, I would be happy to try and organize. My idea would be that, okay, fine. There's a whole thing. You want to see it? Yivaldik. The Parnas HaChodesh for the Koilol is Mr. Anonymous Liulei Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef. Maseches Moed Katan is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families. Refuah shleima from Miriam Esther Bas Devora bekorov. Month long, Michael and Jayme Benmeleh, in memory of Devora Faige bat Shmuel Menachem Mendel ben Elchanan. May the neshamas have an Aliyah, and may Hashem bring Moshiach. Bekorov. Rabbi Sai, again, I just want to reemphasize. We are going to print on Maseches Yivamis. If your name did not appear in Maseches Chagig, it's going to appear in Maseches Yivamis, Be'ezer Hashem. So if you want to sponsor the Masechta, now is the time, because we're literally going to print in a couple of days. Bring your friends. Chagig is starting in a week. What's so funny? If you come late, that's what happens, Judah. I hope you brought your scooter in here again. Get over here, Judah. Get over. The other wants to know what you look like. Why aren't you wearing our sweatshirt today? Sing us a niggin first. Shalom Aleichem. Do you need a seat? How you doing, Judah? My wife's cousin's husband, Judah David, the famous singer Judah David. Shalom Aleichem.
It's time.
All right, Judah, you bring any new guys this year, this month? By David Badil. Liulei Nishmas, my grandmother. You guys know what David is. He's on Zoom every day. He moved from England somewhere. I don't know, London, Manchester. And he didn't have a Gemara. So somebody told him, you want a free Gemara, just go to MDY. So he got stuck here for life. That's it. Nebuch. And here he is, donating money again. Liulei Nishmas, my grandmother, Vida Bas Yisrael on her first yard side in honor of my father, Stephen Badil, who is an inspiration. Badil, whose inspiration to us all, and over the last 12 months has completed the whole of Shas Mishnayos and her schos. Mazel Tov. Jonathan Eltis, in honor of Jonathan Austin for introducing me to MDY. David Pasner from Thornhill, who now learns Mishnayos because of MDY, and of course the Rebelli for all that you do. Oh, people are learning Mishnayos because of MDY. I'm also started. I just started a few weeks ago. Mishnayos, it's going well. Oh, Yidi Shkoyach. By the MDY family for Liulei Nishmas, Shalom, Baruch, Yoda, Ben Rav Yosef, Chil, Michal, Shlita, Yidi Leibowitz Z, and finally, Liulei Nishmas, Lior Bas Rachamim. That's you? That you sponsor this? No, that's somebody else. Oh, this is terrible stuff. Liulei Nishmas, Lior Bas Rachamim, mother of 5 little children, who was killed in a car accident yesterday from Los Angeles. A Refuah shleima for her husband, Shmuel Benmeleh. Wow, crazy stuff. By David Feinberg, on the yard side of his grandfather, Gershon Kobol ben Zev Halevi Zichron Levracha. Wow, the neshamas have an Aliyah. Liulei Nishmas Lior Tova Bas Rachamim, mother of 5 little children. Rabbi Isai, we are holding in middle of Daf Beis, Amud Beis, smack in the middle. Akol HaMeisim Kulon. You have it, Akol HaMeisim Kulon, like a little bit lower than halfway down the Amud Beis. Hashem, we're going to catch up a lot today. Al Kol HaMeisim Kulon, Afilu Lovish Asar Chalukin in a Aliyah. If you're wearing 10 garments, like we like a typical guy today, undershirt, then you have a tzitzis, then you have a shirt, then you have a sweater and a coat. You could understand it could get to 5, 6. You have to do kriya. Afilu Lovish Asar Chalukim in a Aliyah. You only tear the upper garment. Alaviv v'alimoy kareas kulan. On a father and a mother, you have to rip kriya on all the clothing. V'pikrosusoi enamakeves. Some sort of scarf, some sort of thing. Some say it's actually an undershirt. Enamakeves. It's not really part of the begadim, so you don't need to tear it. Echad ha'esh v'echad ha'isha. And this halacha, one understanding is applies to a woman as well. By a woman we have an issue of tznius. So what she could do is, let's say by a parent where she has to rip all the begadim. So as you can see in this picture, it's not so much a woman, but tznius. You can see a little beard going on here. What she would do is tear kriya and then flip the shirt around like you see in this picture, because this person is facing that way. So I guess you take your hands out of your sleeves, you flip it around. Now the tear is on the back. The front is completely covered. Now she could do, so let's see, it first goes, so this idea of flipping around would go on the undergarment, the lower garment, the one that's closer to her body. Flip it around. Now that her body is covered, and then she could do kriya on the upper one. So we have here, maybe zoom in a little bit over here. I need to see this a little better. Okay. So we have this today. By the neck, you have a little bit of a tear, and this is normal. You buy things like that. Our collars are open right over here. A V-neck. So if somebody was to tear over here, you wouldn't notice that it's a tear. You would think it's a continuation of this V, just a longer V. This is the Safa, according to Rashi. This is Rishonim that say it's the exact reverse. But according to Rashi, the Safa is the edge. Kame Safa means before the edge. So what you could do is, you can do Kriya in the center of the shirt, like this, before the Safa. Before then, you just tear it right over here. By all relatives, Rotza Mavdil Kame Safa Shaloi Rotza Eine Mavdil. If it's not the best Kriya in the world, it's something like this, it also works. At the end of the day, he tore. So somebody might come and not notice. Great. By the way, I got to tell you the story again. It's a sad story for me. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned. I have no idea. But after my mother's funeral, we were rushing to the airport to get to Eretz Yisrael. The entire family brought her to Eretz Yisrael. So we got to, it was Kennedy. We got there, and the people from El Al were very nasty to us. What do you think this is? Coming so late. And we were very hurt. Like, can't you see? We just came from a levaya. We're all crying, and our clothes are ripped and everything. Anyway, we're on the plane, and a guy comes over to me in the middle of the flight, and he says, I noticed that what they did to you, terrible. I want to tell you that they have no idea that you came from a funeral. He's like, Melamed Tzchos on Elal. So I said, why do you say? He says, they have no idea what Kriya is. They don't know that you have ripped things. They think that you're Schnar. I said, it's impossible. They're Jewish, and they know. So I said, you know what? Let me ask some of these stewardess. So I started asking. I said, do you know what this is? No clue. You don't know why people tear? No. I said, but you see this every day. I said, what is it? Explain to her. Oh, I go to a guy, one of the, what do they call them? Not a steward, flight attendant, a male flight attendant. I said, do you know what this is? He goes, of course I know what that is. It's Kriya. It's tear. It's like, the guy was wrong. And then he says, yeah, of course I know what it is. They taught me in whatever village I come from in Israel. I'm an Arab. And they taught me that this is Kriya. I couldn't believe it. The one guy from all the flight attendants that knew wasn't even Jewish. But the flight attendants on El Al had no idea what Kriya was. To me, that was sad. But okay. So, Zog the Gemara. So, but on other Mesim, on the
It's under new ownership now.
Yeah, no, I'm not. This was literally 20 years ago. It is. It's under from others. So hopefully, you know. You think that they should have a certain sensitivity or whatever. On a parent, you have to do this type of kriya, which is mavdil according to Rashi. I mean, we don't do it like that, and so it almost goes like the other Rishonim today. But fine, you do it like this. So there's a real hecker. You see the kriya. It's nothing. It's garbage if you don't cut it in the middle. My time in the Rabbi Yudi Leibowitz. We're talking about Elisha. He sees his Rebbe Elio go up. He thought it was all over, so he tore his begodim into two. He tore it, and he dashem l'shnayim. I know already it's two. Elo shenirin kruim kishnayim. In other words, the Gemara is telling us that there's two things. There was two kriyas going on here by Elisha. One was this, and one was this. One was up here. It was shnayim. That's what it means. There's actually two. Akol hamesim kulon shoyle lachar shiva umeache lachar shloishim. What does this mean? Good thing we have pictures. It's like stitching. I wanted to bring my son here. Yo, you want to come down and show what Dr. Factor did to your face? There's a guy that stitches like this, and then you have Dr. Factor. He's like this. So, I mean, I've seen pictures, unfortunately, people in massive accidents, like trauma, like they stitch them up real quick, like they just to get that body together. It's like this. So, says the Gemara, after 7 days, you can do one of these jobs. And after 30 days, I mean, what, are you going to throw your suit out? You go to Dr. Factor, he'll stitch it up nice, like a plastic surgeon, nice and fine. Great. I love it. I'm not kidding. He stitched up my son just 2 weeks ago. I asked everybody in the neighborhood, who do you go to? Everybody said, you got Dr. Factor. Dr. Factor. Yeah, you know why? It's, what does it go? Come here and say that for me. Panovich, quid pro quo. He gives out Gemaras in his office. I have to, if anybody needs plastic surgery on their face, Dr. Factor, my friend, just remember it. Okay. I asked him where the Gemaras are. He says, no, not in this office, not in this office. But he has in his other, whatever. Fine. You have Refuah, the barber, you have Dr. Factor, the surgeon, the whatever. Zok the Gemara,
red and white. The red was used for bloodlet. They were the surgeons. The whites were cutting. The red, the thing that spins.
Yeah.
The barbers were the surgeons.
Oh, you're saying the same thing. Refuah, you're in competition. You're a barber. Like, okay, fine, I got it. I call amazing cool Shayla. Now he's gonna go into his ball joke. He's not a barber. Okay, fine. Call amazing cool Shayla. So after 30 days, you can just stip it up really nicely. Wear the clothing. I love Aliyah. If you want to stitch it up terribly, great, but you never could bring back that suit into tip-top shape. It's gone forever. I know a lot of people, when they see that their parent is, they start wearing the clothes that they don't really need anymore because it's gone. But a woman, we have to be makbid on her kavod and how she looks, and she immediately, after the funeral, go home, sew it back up a little bit. The Kli, says Rashi, very interesting. I mean, we're talking about a different generation. You're talking about where clothing, something like this probably cost, I don't know, $100,000. How are you going to sew it? You can't even sew it like that. Every beged was done by hand, very, very expensive. So if somebody's going to do kriya, take a razor blade, cut it nice and sharp, and then after the shiva, you could sew it up. Nobody will know the difference. Looks the same. But if you do it by hand, it's that's it, it's done. You just rip it, it's a terrible tear. So for all relatives, rip by hand. On a father and mother, you rip it with the kli. Today, because it's impossible, you coming to show me your stitches? Come. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let me see. I've never even looked at it. Where is it? Show me. I can't believe it. Look at this. Zoom in over here. The Dr. Factor stitches. They're invisible. Literally invisible. Unbelievable. What are you doing? Oh, this chair? He told you to get the chair? Yeah, but this is here. Take it. Couple hands there. Help him out. Don't hit the guy in the head. There's a new guest there. Fine. So, today what we do is they start it with a kli. They take a razor and they do a little bit, and then from there you go on because it's almost impossible to try. If you try to rip your jacket or whatever, it's impossible. So that's okay. So some learn bifnim is like in private, you do it under your shirt or you do it in a room, but a parent, you do it in public, you have to show the avelos. The same thing applies to the nasi. That ichu, as we said, that you can't bring the garment back to life ever. That was the only thing that we compared to a father and a mother. My lav, I feel a nasi. We're talking about a nasi. Loy, the bar nasi. So nasi also needs, the kriya has to be done on the outside of the room or outside of the beged. Says the Gemara's story. Nasiya Shachiv, the nasi died. Amalei Rav Chisda, the Rav Chanan bar Rava, wherever it is. Kifi asisa, flip over the stone, v'kum ala, and stand on it. V'achvi kriya la'alma. This is beautiful from my argument that I had yesterday. Do you show off and say, it's not show off. You say, I donated money to MDY. I said I did it for a reason. I had a tzarich for it. By the way, nobody called me up yesterday to donate more money. What is going on? It's going to print in 2 days. Somebody has some money, wants to give to tzedakah. This is the great, here. You know what, for all those guys All those guys that skipped the emails, they didn't see what I did yesterday. Here it is. The greatest return on investment in tzedakah. $35? You bring somebody to Torah. Not only him, his family. He becomes a better businessman. Avi's putting his head down. Go zoom in on Avi for a second. Give someone the gift of Torah. Change a person's life. What does it say in green? Change a person's family. That's just one of the many things. It literally is a life change for $35. I challenge you right now. Anybody know what? Here, let's go. Bring the credit card. Jonathan, get over here. Liulei Nishmas, your mother. What are we doing? How much? 10,000? Did I hear 10,000? Oh, today's daf. Oh, if we finish today's daf?
Get it today's daf.
Oh, okay. Somebody donate some money. We'll get there. Okay, so anyways, but Reb Chaim Kanievsky says there's a big mitzvah to make a siyum in public. Oh, but big bagaiva, what is he showing off that he made a siyum? No, it's to inspire the people. You see over here this idea, sometimes you jump on a stone, you show people what to do. You have to show people, sometimes they don't know how to give tzedakah. $500, 500 shekel, 5 shekel, 5 gemaras. Judah David, you gave 350 last gemara. Givaldik, 5 gemaras, beautiful. Okay, we're not raising money now. Let's go. That Nachman Seltzer will do a different time on Sunday.
I didn't even get a free Gemara for that.
You don't get free gemaras for donating money. You get free gemaras for bringing people in. It doesn't. You could spend $10,000. I'm not going to give you a gemara. Yeah, I will. I will. For that, I will.
One Gemara.
You didn't ask for it.
$10,000. How do you want Gemara? I love it.
Turn around, Banan. Chacham shemeis, beis midrash batal. If a Talmid Chacham dies, there's no Torah in the Beis HaMedrash. It's Avelos. There's no greater Avelos than not learning Torah. Av Bezin shemeis, kol batim midrash should be b'telim. The head of the Bezdin, if he dies, all the Bati Medrash in the city, no Torah. You go into shul, we know that Avil comes in, he changes his seat. You sit in the north, you go to the south. Notice, there's no, if you sit in the Mizrach, he take you to the Ma'ariv. Oh, chas v'shalom. So it says in the Mizrach. Nasi Shemei is Bati Medrash is Kulim B'Teilin. If you are a Nasi, the head of Klal Yisrael, everything is batal. Ubatei Knesses in the Chlas and the Beis Knesses. I saw that in Megillah says an interesting chat here. Batei Knesses is what we learned in Megillah. That's Asar Batlanim. Remember, every city has to have 10 people that are dedicated to Torah and Tefillah. Those are the 10. But okay, Batei Knesses and Chlas and the Beis Knesses. V'kairin shiva v'yotzim. Interesting. Allah Daf Yomi Amud Aleph. You cannot daven if the Nasi dies. There's no minyanim. Finished. No minyanim. But you have to do Kriyas HaTorah, so we get together, we gather on Shabbos and do Kriyas HaTorah, you lay 7 people and that's it. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha Omer, Lo sheyelchu v'yatailu bashuk, ela yoshvin v'doimin. It doesn't mean that the shuls are down, the base measures is down, you shouldn't be learning, you shouldn't be learning. But it doesn't mean that you should take vacation and go on trips with your kids. Sit and be ba'avelos. Ve'ein, hold on, yeah. Ve'ein oimrim shmua va'agoda bebeis ha'evel, and you don't talk in Torah in the Beis HaEvel. When I learned this the first time, I said to myself, I'm going to look into it, and I forgot to look into it. So if somebody could just give me, I'm sure it's a very simple pshat. Why is it in the Beis HaEvel they learn Mishnayos? I know, but it says you shouldn't learn. It says you shouldn't say anything. Kaddish. I don't know. What? The Aval never sits and listens to this Torah? I thought maybe the first second I was thinking, because you learn Kalim over there, it's such a tsar for the Aval. I don't know. I don't know the pshat. You say this pshat, he says because to say Kaddish, and he says the Aval doesn't listen, so that's a big chiddush to me. If the Aval doesn't listen, great. Then I hear. I never knew that. I thought the Avelim are part of it. Oh, maybe it's based on this. Elchanan used to say a little bit of Agada. Avel. Shabbos Rishona. Says Rashi, Shabbos Rishona means the first week, all 7 days. It doesn't mean the first Shabbos, it means the first week. You shouldn't leave. Why? People are coming to be Menachem Mendel. You don't leave. Rabbi said, listen to this halacha and tell me what you see here. It says the second week, he shouldn't go to his seat. He goes to shul, he shouldn't sit in his seat. Shlishis, Yoshev Kaimai, Ve'enu Medaber, he goes back to his seat and he doesn't speak. Revis, Hareu Kechal Adam. Fourth week, I didn't find the source. I don't know. Again, I might be wrong. Somebody find me a source. We don't sit in our seat. Ba'avelos, someone who's the avel, doesn't sit for the whole year. It doesn't say anywhere. I couldn't find anywhere. What's the source? Over here it says 2 weeks and finished. The famous story with the Vilna Gaon. We don't have time, but why not? The story of Shabbos. There was a guy that came to Vilna and he says, this woman, who her husband is when did I just say it? Weiter. You weren't here, it's too bad for you, Judah. I just said the story. But it was a few months ago. You know, the Gemara also chazes a few months. A few weeks ago?
I want to hear it.
But the 10,000 people, okay, fine. Real quickly, the guy came and he says, I was married to that woman who's a aguna. So she says, I don't recognize you so well. Well, it's 15 years, I changed a lot. So bring this raya, he was good. Everything she asked him, he answered. It's a funny story, like how is it possible? So they went to the Vilna Gaon, what should we do? It doesn't look right. Like, he knows everything. So the Vilna Gaon says, bring him to shul on Shabbos and tell him to go to his seat. And that's what they did. They came to shul, and the guy was confused. He didn't know. He found out all the information about the husband, but he forgot to find out that one little detail. What seat? Shkoya. Take it out of bounds. Says the Gemara.
The Ramah brings down that only beyamenu is 12 months.
The Ramah brings it down, and where did he get it from? But where does he get it from? Where does the Ramah get it from? Okay, says the Gemara. So basically, Rabbi Yehuda does a shift. He takes everything and moves it over 1 week. He says the first week you don't have to give me the halacha. Everybody understands by themselves. You don't leave the Shiva house. People are coming there to visit you. So let's just flip, just whatever you said in the first week happens in the second week, whatever you said in the second week happens in the third week. Third week, he goes out to shul, but he doesn't sit in a seat. The fourth week, he goes back and he sits in a seat, and he doesn't understand. We have to understand why the Ramah says you do this for 12 months. He just shifted it over 1 more week. A person should not get married for 30 days after his wife dies. Why? So we have to see Taisvus here. The first time I saw Taisvus, I saw 3 reasons. And then I read it again this morning and I saw in Taisvus something different. I think Taisvus is giving us a lesson in Benmeleh Chaveri, really. It says, Taisvus Devora Maseches Shiyaver Shleisha Regalim. Achiyah Shleisha Regalim B'loi Simcha, says the Gemara that it's 3 Yom Tovim.
He says there's no source for it. Just over time.
No source. Okay. 3 Yom Tovim. What's the significance of 3 Yom Tovim? Do not forget the deceased. It's not nice to just jump in and get married as if she didn't exist. You have to show that you loved her. There's a problem having relations with a woman thinking about another woman. Person says, wow, my other wife, the kugel she made, wow, it's unbelievable. Her chocolate chip cookies. Don't do that. Not a good thing. Seriously, the Gemara is teaching us Benam Chaveroi, how to be considerate to other people. Says the Gemara, Oval Shabbos Rishonei Yotzim Pesach Beisoi, Asari, not there. Kol Shleishim Yom L'Nisuin. Meisi Ishtoi, Asa Lisa Isha Acheres, Achi Yabru Olav Shleish Regal. He cannot get married until he has 3 Yom Tovim, like a Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuos. Most Rishonim hold like that. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Regel Rishon V'Sheni Asur, Shlishi Mutar, says Rabbi Yehuda, it's only 2 Yom Tovim. Now, how do we paskin like? In Avelis, how do we paskin? Lekula. So it should be 2 Yom Tovim. Okay. But we paskin that you have to wait 3 Yom Tovim. Why? But in Avelis we go Lekula. The answer is, And very good. Bemis. I didn't understand it yesterday, and mamish a few minutes before shir, I saw somebody says that it's not a halach of avelos here. Over here, it's a halach of how to treat another person. It's not halachas avelos. It's about treating the ex-wife, not the ex-wife, the wife that was nifteres. That has nothing to do, and for that, l'chumra. Zog the Gemara.
This problem, it's duress approval.
Oh, we're not there yet. He has kids. Who says he doesn't have kids? Here, we're getting in a second. Says the Gemara. Shlishi, if he doesn't have children, mutter lisa la'alter, he's allowed to get married immediately. The Shulchan Aruch says that he could get engaged immediately, even during the Shiva, but he can't marry her until after Shiva, and some Rishonim actually say until after Shleishim. Why? Mishum bittul peri v'ribya, because of the tremendous mitzvah of Puravu. Now, what? What about? No, I'm saying, yeah, but I'm saying lahalacha. The Shulchan Aruch passings after Shiva, but other Rishonim say Shleishim. Other Rishonim. So, I thought there's a big chiddush. If a person has a grandchild, is he yaitza Puravu? His children died. His own children died, but he has grandchildren. Yaitza Puravu? Yes and no. If he has a boy and a girl, grandchildren, he's yaitza chiddush. Rabbi say chiddush. Only if the boy is from one kid and the girl is from another kid. If the boy and the girl are for one child, it's as if he only had one child, because it's whatever the svara over there is. But I thought it was a very interesting svara. Let's just go fighter. Banim ktanim. By the way, if a chassan gets married and there's a tragedy in the family, the kal loses a parent right there and then, his chiyuv of pruravu overcomes her chiyuv of avelos. Chiddush. If he has young children, and as the Rishonim explain, young children need a mother, they need the warmth of the mother. A father can't possibly do the job of a wife, of a mother. He's allowed to get married right away. For their care. You hear this? It's not the same thing. Growing up just with the father is not the same thing as the warmth of the mother. Yosef's wife died. This is a crazy story. He sees his sister-in-law in the Beis HaKfaros as they're burying his wife. And what is he thinking of? The welfare of his children. And he tells her in the Beis HaKfaros, go take care of your nephews and nieces. In other words, let's get married. He didn't have relations with her for a long time. He waited for 30 days, but it was important for him that his children shouldn't be left without a mother even for 1 minute.
In the basic first, he's a Kohen.
Ooh, Geschmacke Kasha. As for Menachem Seltzer, how's he in the Beis HaKfaros? He's a Kohen. Good Kasha. But Kohanim come to the Beis HaKfaros. My brother-in-law, my two brother-in-laws. No.
With his wife? It says she's in the Beis HaKfaros.
First of all, it's possible even for a Kohen to be in the Beis HaKfaros if you're out of Dalet Amos of the Mason. For Mechitza, fine. Fine. By the way, the Shulchan Aruch, I'm just saying this. What one of the biggest problems in a second marriage is that the stepmother, that famous stepmother and the children. And what's the issue? I think part of the issue is that the stepmother, the new wife, is a little jealous of these children, that her new husband gives a lot of attention to the children. And when the new wife is an aunt, and she's close to the children, so she loves the children, and in fact, the Shulchan Aruch brings it. He says it's better to marry the sister-in-law, and if you do, there's a special heter for getting married during Shiva, because she's a better mother than anybody else. Says the Gemara weiter. You're allowed it's also to press your clothing during the shleishim. In Chicago, I have friends in Chicago, 2 friends that have basketball courts in their basements. But I have a friend, this you never heard of probably. I have a friend who has a dry cleaners in his basement. Kid you not. He's very into clothing, and chas v'shalom, if there's a closure or it's impossible to get there, he could go in his basement and he has all the machinery needed for dry cleaning. I know that he uses my dry cleaner in Chicago, but yeah, just some people have basketball courts, some people just you should know there's such a thing. If they're brand new shirts, clothing, older ones, that come out of the press, fresh, aser. The only iser is wearing a fresh garment right out of the package. So Rebbe Lazar says there's two conditions. It needs to be white and brand new. Let's say the clothing is colored, a blue shirt, that's not a problem. Or let's say it's white, but it's old, not a problem. New and white, that's the problem. Says the Gemara, Abayi Nofik, Begarda the Sarbala Kirebi. He went with, says Rashi, he was old, white clothing and it was ironed, pressed, like Rebbe, that only brand new is Aser, but Yashan is Mutter. Rava, Nofik Bechimutzta, Remisa is Roman, Remisa. Chimutzta says Rashi like a robe. Chadati, brand new. So he went with a brand new one, but it's Sumakta. Sumakta is red. Rebbe Lazar, Reb Shimon. Oh, he's not here, Mendy. Baruch Mordechai Zrachi, the famous Reshiva. He told the Bachar Rabbi, I'm coming with a olive-colored frock to give my shir klali. Olive-colored frock. The phone calls went out. All his Talmidim, the old ones, come running in. Everybody wants to see Baruch Mordechai Zrachi with the olive-colored frock. Beis Medrash jam-packed. He walks right in with a black frock. What's going on? What? You never saw an olive that's black? Okay, but Rava went with a red, bright red chadati. Okay, so we learned in the Mishnah that Shabbos, we know, Shabbos counts as one of the 7 days. You don't have to count another day if you have a Shabbos. Every week has a Shabbos, and Shiva is only 7 days. But it doesn't break up the Shiva. Like Yantiv. If Yantiv comes 3 days into Shiva, you don't sit Shiva after Yantiv. Shabbos obviously continues. Shiva continues on Matzah Shabbos, Sunday, Monday. Says the Gemara, Bnei Yehuda, Bnei Galila, Hani Amri. There was a machlokes between the Judeans from Yehuda and the Galil. Turning to Daf Gimel Amud Beis, sponsored by Moshe Horn and Woody Wyman, as a schos from Morty Moskowitz, sponsored in honor of Rebelli, wishing him tzlach and all his endeavors, building Gashmi's Ruchnis. Machlokes, Yeshav Veils b'Shabbos, V'Hani Amri Ein Avelis b'Shabbos. So, Taisus points out right away, we're talking about Dvarim Shebetzina, things you do in private relations, bathing with hot water, privately, things in private. So one say, there is Avelis on Shabbos, you continue, yes, you're not going to, everybody agrees that in public you don't do any Avelis. What about in private? Look at Taisus real quickly, because we're getting late here. This is for Elchanan Pressman, Lekavit Shabbos Kodesh. The last line in Taisus de Maskell, the second Taisus. The wide lines, all the way in the bottom. B'Yerushalmi and Farish. Time of the Shabbos, they no Avelis noigim by. Why is there no Avelis in Shabbos? Birkas Hashem. When it comes to Shabbos, it's a bracha. Shabbos is a bracha. Birkas Hashemi. Ta'ashir v'lo Yosef etzav ima. There shouldn't be any more sadness together with the bracha. The Shabbos is a bracha. Since Shabbos is a bracha, there shouldn't be any sadness. The Dubner Maggid says a mashal. Somebody asked the Rebbe for a bracha. So he says, I'll give you a bracha that the first thing you touch, you're going to be very matzliach with. First thing you do. Oh, Givaldik, he goes home, he runs over to his wife, he says, give me all the money immediately. She says, no. What do you mean? He says, give it to me immediately, it's going to be a tzlacha. No way! Just tell me what you're talking about. I'm not telling you what I'm talking about, just give me the money, I got to do it. The kids, before you know it, they had a massive fight. Says the Dubin Maggid, he was very matzliach. The first thing he did, he was very, very successful. So, and he says about Shabbos, Shabbos is the first thing you do. When you are happy on Shabbos, when you have simchas, so the entire week you're good. If you take that fight, the first thing you do is that fight, so the rest of the week is going to be a fight. The Vilna Gaon says, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you a bracha, there's no atzvas. When you see that there's something wrong, then it's not Hashem's thing. It's not the bracha that Hashem is giving you. Yesh etzev, says the pasuk. V'lo Yosef etzev. If it's from Hashem, Birkas Hashem, doesn't come with any sadness. Says the Gemara. Man do meisha veilus b'Shabbos diktani oila. It says that it's one of the days of the 7 days. Oila means it counts for something. So you see that there is Avelos. You shouldn't do Dvarim Shebetzina. Mando Amarein Avelos B'Shabbos, Diktani, Edom Afsekes. It doesn't break up the Avelos. Now listen to this. Here's a little bit of a chap. I have a chart, and it could help out a lot. Here it is. Check this out. Here are your 7 days of Avelos, 1 through 7. It's smack in the middle, let's say, is Shabbos. These are you can't do this, you can't wear shoes, you can't bathe, you can't take a haircut, and it continues over here. If Shabbos is also red, if Shabbos is red, does the Mishnah have to tell me it doesn't break it up? Of course it doesn't break it up. It's 7 consecutive reds. Why would Shabbos break up the Shiva? It's a regular day of Avelos. From the fact that the Mishnah tells me that it doesn't break it up, is a raya that you don't do Avelos. And if you don't do Avelos, I would have a Havamina, look, it's green, so green smack in the middle should break it up, and you shouldn't continue Avelos. That's why the Mishnah says it doesn't break it up. You hear? It's a little bit of a chap.
Why does it say, we could just say, you don't do it for Hesed. You think that maybe doing it publicly would...
So you ask me why it doesn't say different Lashon. I'm saying from the Lashon right here. Again, let's repeat this because it's a little bit tricky. If Shabbos was just like the other days, that you couldn't do Avel, you are in Avel and you continue not doing Dvarim Shebetzina, you're Avel, then there's no reason in the world why I would have a Havamina that Shabbos is a Hefsek and you shouldn't continue Avelos. You're doing Avelos. It's just a regular day. From the fact that the Mishnah says, don't think it broke it up, tells me that there is no Avelos. It's actually green. And there's a Havamina that should break it up, and the Mishnah is telling me it's not breaking it up. Inside. It's a regular day, it's red. Why would I make a hefsek? But I have a question what the other man said. It says that it's mashma that you are misabel. It says that it's Ayla as one of the days. So the Gemara I did Kabbalah Mr. Seifa. By the Yom Tovim, it says, "Ein an Eilan, uses the same lashon." And according to the Mandom, that says you have to perform avelos, you can't do anything privately. Hakatani, einam mafsekes. Why would I even think that it's mafsik if you don't do anything? Okay, it's just it's a lashon that we're mimicking from the Seifa. Says the Gemara Levi Ketanoi. Perhaps this is machlokes Tanoi. Misha Mason Mutal Lefanov. You have a person is a einan because his parent, a Karev died, and it's right there in front of him. There's a concept of loig l'rosh, right? When you go to Beis HaKfaros, you tuck your tzitzis in. Why? Because you don't want to poke fun at the mace and say, "Hey, look, I'm kaima mitzvah." That's making fun to the mace in his face. Like I said, don't send me pictures of skiing. It's not nice to somebody who can't ski. So Misha Mason with the fun of you don't want to eat, taking care of your bodies. And feeding it. What if you don't have another house? Go to your friend's house. You don't have a friend. Everybody hates you. So you put up a 10 tefachim wall. You're so poor you don't even have something, a sheet. So you eat in front. The dead person is laying over there. Turn around. Don't poke fun at him. But don't do this. This is a save in time of the Gemara. They used to lean like we do on Pesach, lean and eat. Don't do this. What else can you do? Could an Avel drink wine and eat meat, Rabbi say? Yes. This guy cannot do it. You might come different pirushim. Not so much Avel says there's more that you might forget about your mace and not deal with him. He shouldn't say a bracha. He's a einan. He doesn't make brachas. He doesn't do zimun. And nobody makes a bracha for him. And they don't do zimun for him. He doesn't say Kriya Shema, he doesn't damage Esrei, and he doesn't wear tefillin like this guy. He doesn't do any mitzvah in the Torah. On Shabbos he does lean back and eat. And he eats meat and drinks wine. They take out the word of tefillin because you don't wear tefillin on Shabbos. So on Shabbos he's chayiv on everything, all the mitzvahs. Rabbi Gamliel? Yeah. Who said? Okay, I hear. Come into the Torah. But over here, it's no. I don't know if you're right. We have to look into it because over here it's mashma. It's dafel because it's bifanav. But you usually are right, so I don't know. Says Rabbi Gamliel, you're chayiv in all the mitzvahs. But we just said you're chayiv in all the mitzvahs. So what is he adding? According to Rabbi Gamliel, he's chayiv in oina, the mitzvahs oina, and according to the Tanna Kama, he's not. So l'chayra, that seems very familiar. You chayiv, are you permitted to do dvarim shebeseiser or not? That's exactly the first line of the Amud. It seems like the same machlokes. My lab balkam if the Gemara Sovei Shabbos b'Shabbos, Umar Sovei Navelos b'Shabbos. L'chayra, that's the machlokes. Whether or not you have to act ba'avelos or not. Says Gemara, no. The reason why it's usher to have relations is because the dead person is right there. Over in our case, we're middle of the shiva. They may seem with the lefanov. Maybe it's mutter. Rabbi Gamliel says that's mutter to do oina the katiloi chala velos alei because the body wasn't buried yet, so the avelos didn't even start. The chala velos alei. Maybe Rabbi Gamliel agrees that since the avelos started, then it's aser b'tashmish. Have a wonderful day and a great Shabbos. Matzi Shabbos in Yerushalayim at 8:30.